She called herself Roxy, Roxy, Roxy. Strung out on everything. Hottest, baddest girl gone bad. You know Roxy, Roxy. She lays on the edge. She runs with her heart. Whatever they say, it's never enough. She lost the world a long time ago. Sex and drugs, no, she never comes back. What only beauty, no one can control her. Yeah, Roxy, 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 strung out on everything. Hottest, baddest girl gone bad. Roxy, oh Roxy, oh Roxy,
The hits of the future.
We're gonna be rich.
The Edge.
It's theedgeonair.com. The greatest music you never heard. It's George hanging out in the Edge studio. Happy Tuesday. From the last interview, it's not snowing anymore, so that's positive. But we always continue bringing you the best music we ever heard. And I like this one because it's from Chicago. And you know how we love our Chicago bands here on the Edge. And this one's actually been around for a little bit, and, to say the least. And joining us here in the studio, I've got Jason and Fabian from the band, The Runaround. Hi, guys. How you guys doing?
Hola.
We're doing great. How are you doing today, George?
I'm doing excellent. I'm doing excellent. Thank you guys for stopping by, hanging out with us for a couple. As we sit here, we talk music and we talk about what you guys have been up to. You guys have been around for a little bit, so explain a little bit how you guys got together as a band.
Well, we started almost 10 years ago. It'll actually be 10 years ago this fall.
Wow.
This coming fall. And our current bass player, Stretch, and myself are the still remaining members from that era. But we kind of found each other the quote-unquote old-fashioned way on Craigslist. Yeah, not really old-fashioned.
They swiped right on me.
Yeah, we found him doing something else.
Yeah.
But Craigslist is Craigslist. So we basically, my old band was breaking up. They're called Next Best Thing, and we decided that we wanted to continue. A couple of us wanted to continue with it, but we needed to find other members. So we posted on Craigslist at ISU. We were all down at Illinois State, going to college there. So we met with a few people, auditioned a few people, and put together this band. And I guess, as they say, the rest is history, right?
Yeah, it is, and it just so happened because being in a band, you got to have chemistry. You got to gel well, and it just so happened you guys have gelled well, and it's lasted for a little bit.
Alcohol.
Shout out to alcohol.
Well, we were like I said, we were at ISU, so it was you go to class for 8 hours a week, and that was it. We didn't have real jobs. We could focus on having fun and writing music, so that's what we did.
Boom, just having a bunch of fun. That's what it's all about. The Runaround. How'd you guys get that name?
There's actually a couple different. If you ask me, I say that it came from the fact that when we first started this band, we were messing around covering with a song called, the old song called "Runaround Sue,"
yeah, from
the '60s, and we were trying to come up with a band name after we were leaving Next Best Thing behind, and somebody said, well, just call yourselves Runaround Sue. Like, no, that's stupid. We're going to call ourselves the Runaround. Like, okay, that works. And, for us, it was just it's somewhat catchy. It was never anything, too serious because back then especially, we were writing songs about partying and drinking and very anthemic-based, music that we didn't want anything that, blood from children or something like that, that wouldn't fit us, right? We just wanted something that was loose and light and something that kind of was the college life, and then you ask another band member, it kind of still falls into that thing where, the runaround, that's, you spend half your time in college kind of either getting the runaround or giving the runaround, when it comes to past experiences with the opposite sex and stuff like that. So that was kind of
Definitely.
based on that. So,
Multiple meanings.
multiple meanings, yes. It had multiple meanings, yes.
I love it.
Weirdest thing that happened to us with that, though, was 5 years later, we're opening up for Blues Traveler, of all bands. I mean, we're a punk band from Chicago. We never thought we'd open for Blues Traveler. And their biggest hit, #1 platinum selling song was a song called Runaround.
Right.
And we were played right before him. The drummer walks off stage and he was so excited to ask us, like, did you guys get your name from us? And, we had to look. Absolutely not. And nothing. He's like, oh, okay. I mean, he didn't really care.
Right,
I mean,
right.
he's still famous, but, and nonetheless, but.
Imagine what would have happened if you would have said yes.
Yeah, right. We would have been on tour with Blues Traveler. So.
Seriously, you guys have been...
Wrong answer, yes. I chose poorly, so, yeah.
Oh, definitely. Jason and Fabio joining us from the Runaround here on theedgeonair.com. What do you guys do for the band, for those who are maybe not familiar with you guys?
I'm Fabian. I do lead guitar.
Okay.
And I'm Jason. I'm a songwriter, lead singer. I use my voice. I use my voice. Yes, I'm a singer. Fabian and I actually do probably 99% of the songwriting too. So we're kind of the
We spent a lot of
duo.
time together.
Yes.
Okay.
And acoustic guitars and harmonies and all that stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah. Yeah. We love each other.
I love it. I love it. Well, you know what? For people who haven't heard you guys before, you guys have been around for a little bit, but for those who haven't heard from you guys before, we're going to play a song right now. It's called Pop Stars. Can you guys tell me a little bit what Pop Stars is about?
Absolutely. We've always kind of tried to see what the current climate was of the music scene, and we always try to look at it objectively and try to look at it from a stance that we don't have to fit any mold by what because we don't have any buddy telling us what we have to do, what we have to fit into. So because of that, we could write what we want to write, and we can also write about what we want to write about. We love that because we like to be able to call out the current climate of something that we don't see that's great going on in in any industry, and the music industry is what we went after in this song. And Pop Stars is just kind of a direct shot of what used to be considered a musician, and how you became good at your craft and how you became famous and stuff like that, or not famous, but just good musician and stuff like that. And that's not the algorithm that's been laid out now for pop stars. Pop stars in the music industry, like every song is just regurgitated other stuff,
Yes.
put together, mixed differently, with a different synth backing track to it, and we just wanted to point out the fact that that's not us. So, yeah.
If you watch the music video, we kind of go on that theory too, like the push into being a certain way, a certain mold, and everything. So
Yeah.
we kind of went with that theme as well.
We actually, in the music video, we actually we did it kind of almost like we were on one of the reality music shows.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
So like, the video starts off with the host of the show, kind of this slimy guy coming out telling us how he wants to turn us into
And we
this
got the perfect
thing.
guy for it.
Yeah. He's a great actor,
Gotta
and he's
see
fit
it.
it perfectly. And it was basically like you're going to be on this show for us, and it was more like a American band as opposed to American Idol type thing. But it was basically here we're going to form you into this, and it's us kind of resisting that the whole time until eventually we just kick them out and we do
To
our
the
thing,
moon,
so.
Alice.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, here it is. Pop Stars by The Runaround. More with The Runaround coming up after this on theedgeonair.com.
We're not pop stars, we're from the basement. Live off a middle American paycheck. We go hardcore when it's called for. Nights spent on the floor. Record execs want a product that sells. They don't do this for their health. It's not about the music these
That's the Runaround on theedgeonair.com, the greatest music you never heard. I've got Fabian and Jason from the Runaround here in the studio. Guys, that was an awesome one. I like it. I told you guys I actually I like your stuff. I like what you guys come up with a lot.
It's like
Quit covering it.
checking the doctor's files. Like, what does he really
does he
feel?
really
What, how's he
dying?
really?
Why'd you draw the sad face? What does that mean? Are you crying on the inside?
A little bit. Oh, I can tell you guys have a lot of fun when you guys are performing live. And
Absolutely.
you guys actually got an opportunity back in 2009 and 2010 of performing at Summerfest. And I actually went to Summerfest for the first time last year and saw how big that
crazy.
that is.
Insane.
How was that experience? Especially being younger and like just
Yeah,
getting started.
we
out
were
there.
not.
Right before I joined.
Yeah, he's still mad about it because it was right before Fabian joined. I guess
before.
that's what I have to talk about. For us, we were, we hadn't played and stuff like, headlining House of Blues and all the stuff we've done since. So at that time, we were a band that, the biggest claim to fame we had was we'd open up for Lucky Boys a few times at the Canopy Club and stuff like that. The biggest stage in Chicago we played was probably Double Door, which is obviously still cool, but
Yeah.
nothing like what we have done since. And for us, we just saw this promotion for an online contest. There was this is how old this goes back. Now this was yeah, right. This will date us. This will date the band more so than anything else. It was on MySpace.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. It was like the last year of MySpace. Because the funny thing is, the second year they ran the contest, it was on Facebook. But the first year of the contest, 777 bands total joined this contest, and it was just submit a song, open up to online voting. I took 5 minutes, submitted it. I always joke about the fact I submitted a picture that wasn't even like a high-res picture. It was like a really pixelated picture. And I literally was like, I think I was heading to class, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to post this up, and, we'll see. Didn't think anything of it. A month later.
Tom's eyes were struggling.
Yeah.
I'm Tom from MySpace.
Yeah, a month later, we had an email come in that we were like, all right, you're in the top 100 of this contest. I'm like, 100? What does that mean? And then I was just like, oh, okay, 777 bands. Like, okay.
Oh, that's pretty good, right?
That's not bad. All right, fine, whatever. Still didn't pay attention to it. Another month goes by, and we get an email saying your submission has received over 50,000 votes online. So we were like, all right, well, what does that mean? Compared to anything else. And we are now in the top 10. And the top 10, they were going to choose 3 bands out of that top 10 to go in this final round. So at that point, we started taking it seriously. I'm like, maybe I should send an email to fans or our family and all those, everybody that I know would vote for us, not just the people online that are randomly finding us. So we kind of started this grassroots campaign that kind of just took off. I mean, we were in every local newspaper, everywhere. Like any small town one, everything was just was picking it up and kind of got behind us, and we ended up with grand total of 300,000 votes.
Wow.
That came in. And every person could vote every day, but that's one vote a day. That's still 50,000 people or 25,000 people that are voting for us. Which is more than you could say for some elections, right? So local elections, right? So we win this contest, beat out some bands that were much bigger than us at the time, for sure. And we get a limo that picks us up in Chicago that takes us to Milwaukee. We stay at the hotel that all the big stars are staying at. We're on stage. I can see Tom Petty setting up his stage right next to us. And then after we were done, I see Stevie Wonder setting up. And this was 3 days after Michael Jackson had passed away. So I actually watched.
Didn't see you?
Yeah, he didn't. No, Stevie Wonder did not see me. Stevie! Yeah, he was such a jerk. He wouldn't even look.
Just kept waving no at me.
We told you, man. The PC thing is only going to last so long.
Right, yeah.
All right. Anyway, so we.
Love you, Stevie.
So yeah, that was an amazing. We're taking our equipment off stage. And I see a couple, maybe 100 yards away, over top of into their side of it, him warming up. They're not letting people in yet. Him warming up for that performance that night, and that was the night. People talked about this. It was all over the news. He broke down on stage because of the loss of his friend Michael Jackson and stuff. We spent a few days in being a part of the mega stars for and that was kind of neat. We saw it from that side of things. We saw what how they lived and how they're, even just transportation, getting, limos from each place and stuff like that. We don't do that. We're in punk band. We have a tour van that, or SUV if we don't feel like running a van and a trailer behind us and stuff, and that's how we've always done things. So, yeah, that was a pretty surreal experience, and we actually did well enough, at least that's how, we look at it, to get invited back the following year to perform again. We opened up for Bare Naked Ladies, and Rancid was there, 311, a bunch of other bands.
Wow, not bad.
Yeah, so it was a pretty cool couple years experience, and then they actually, in between that, we kind of became one of the sponsors for Summerfest, and they had us play at a Milwaukee Bucks game.
Oh.
And then we also sang Take Me Out to Ball Game at a Brewers game and stuff like that. So, it was a surreal, really cool experience. We weren't really ready for it yet, to be completely honest. Looking back on it, something like that would happen now, I feel like we would have capitalized even more than we did then.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Our songwriting's gotten so much better. Just our musicianship as a whole has gotten so much better. Our recordings have gotten so much better. We basically went into that. We had just recorded that album that we, the one that we, with the song that we had sent in, which was Runaway Mexico. And looking back on that now compared to what we've done since, and the studio time we've had, and just the where our craft has gone, we kind of almost wish we had waited 5 years to have that moment, because we could have had a lot more things happen from it. But even with that said, we signed a record deal afterwards. We spent, and that's actually right when he joined the band. He joined the band. Literally, we joke about this. We're kind of like Panic at the Disco because we signed a record deal before we ever played our first show, right? That's what Panic at the Disco did. Well, Fabian signed a record deal before he ever played his first show in the band. He was in the band for 3 days, and we signed a record deal.
I had no idea any of this was going on.
Wow.
Hey, here's a band that needs a guitarist. I'll try it.
Oh, why not, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So he had it made, early on. And then we've had to earn our way, in and out since then. We've had our ups and downs. Some of them pretty
Ask him
serious.
why I almost didn't make the band.
Yeah. He showed up at his audition wearing mandals.
Really?
And, yeah, like the really like laced ones, or
they were a gift from my mom.
Like with the straps and
oh
everything?
yeah, like the brown ones too, like the leather ones. So literally, like you think we're joking, but we actually had a conversation. Like, we're gonna have to talk to him about his shoes, dude. Like
adjusting.
Yeah, he just come from Texas, so we had to give him that break. I thought you wore cowboy boots.
Yeah, not mandal.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love it. Jason and Fabian joining us from the Runaround here on the EdgeOnAir.com, presented by the Illinois Media School. And for more information on how you can be on air, just go to beonair.com. You guys, you were talking about like your early projects and stuff like that. A couple albums that really you guys got to be a part of, Side Effects, May Vary, and Welcome to the Circus. I want to talk about Welcome to the Circus. So long ago. You guys came out with that.
The blue one.
No, the blue.
Blue album? Weezer now? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Blue, and it was a cartoon.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
You guys came out with that in 2012, and I believe that's where Chicago, that song is on that album. Talk a little bit about the writing process for the song Chicago.
That's what he brought.
Yeah,
He was really.
I spent a year, trying. It kind of actually goes back to the same thing. We are, as much as we developed over time, there is an underlining kind of theme to this band, and one of them being, we do like to see what's going on in society and culture and stuff like that, and pop culture, and kind of call it out. And 2012, if you can remember that far back, there was Katy Perry all over the radio with California songs and LA songs and all this stuff. I mean, every song on the radio was about California and how beautiful it was. It was cheesy crap that was going on, right? So for us, we wanted to write a real song about a real place and not sugarcoat it at all. We didn't write, come look at the Sears Tower. We wasn't a promotion for Chicago. It was this is where we're from. This is what this place is, and take it for what it is. We love it, and it's our heart and our home. We'll defend it, but it's not without its own issues, right?
Right.
And that's where that song came from. That's what the ideas for the song came from. And honestly, that song just kind of snowballed for us. I mean, it's got over 170,000 views on YouTube now. Every time we go back and check it, we're like, God, people still it's still climbing. Yeah. We've had interest from, in conversations with, the Blackhawks for having the edited version of the song, used in the stadiums and stuff. I mean, the show Shameless
Yeah.
has showed interest and stuff like that too. So and reached out, and we're kind of it's always going back and forth. We actually just remastered that on the new album too. So we're kind of re-edited it, remastered it, kind of remixed it to kind of take it up another step too. So
that was actually the song that I listened to first. That really opened the door for me for you guys.
and that's
so
common. That's common. Yeah, it really is.
exactly.
Yeah,
So I heard it and I was like, I might like these guys. these guys they sound like my people.
Yeah, and I mean, we always try to take it from a very real place.
Yeah.
We're not ever talking about anything that we haven't experienced, lived, or like that we see on a daily basis.
Definitely.
And that doesn't mean that we're surrounded by drive-by shootings or anything like that. We're just talking about a real place. Yeah. We're not. We're just talking about like a thing that we have experienced and seen, and from our point of view.
Okay, yeah, and while we're speaking on Chicago, the Chicago rock scene, it's blowing up. It's what
I
are
agree,
your opinions on where we are now as a city, in the scene?
I mean, there's we got asked this a year or two ago. It probably would have been worded as what you're feeling on the demise of the Chicago music scene. So it goes in highs and peaks and valleys. And right now, I agree, it's on its way up. I mean, there's this. I keep joking. There's something in the water in the south side with this pop punk scene going on because bands like Knuckle Puck, Real Friends. There's so many like bands coming from this specific place, this specific area in Chicago that's blowing up. And there's all different styles of music going on, but that seems to be the thing that like has gotten the nation's attention right now. So yeah, I love it. Obviously, I get teased all the time that like, oh, so do you like the city of Chicago? So obviously I do defend the city of Chicago.
Right.
I love Chicago. I get joke, like all the time. People are like, oh, so how do you feel about Chicago? Like obviously, it's important, right? So, so yeah, from my perspective, I love it. I love seeing it. We don't consider anybody else making it as us not making it, or us, or taking away from any success we've had. We feel like, we kind of can all join together and make this, the best scene there is in the country again. Because it was at one point.
Oh yeah.
To me, it was the best music scene, 10, 15 years ago, and I think we are on our way back.
I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. It's one of those things because I was still relatively young when it was hot and stuff like that. I was able to listen and be a fan of a lot of artists and stuff like that. But for instance, like bands like Simple Plan and Good Charlotte, who are coming back, making their comebacks now, I was able to enjoy them, but wasn't able to really grasp what they were saying and stuff like that because of where I was at. But so now I'm getting excited because every time I get into my car, there's a new band that's coming out or a band that from Chicago that I'm able to listen to and stuff like that. Having the opportunity to see Real Friends in concert for the first time last year. So it's one of those things. It's exciting. Right. It's so exciting for it to be back.
You're just waiting for that like Chicago sound to come out.
Yes.
You hear about this region has a sound, this region has a sound. Chicago's going to start building
Bingo.
That's their own signature sound, and it's kind of what we're aiming for.
Exactly.
Exactly. I've been told that a few times. Like I've seen comments in like our music videos and then our Facebook page. Like this is Chicago punk rock.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best compliments we ever get is like we give a voice to like the Chicago punk rock scene. Like we're kind of like you said, we got a few people commenting or posting here and there saying that like they're kind of like what it should be or what it used to be or what it could be type of thing.
Definitely.
And that's always
someone was calling someone like, hey, look, see so and so. This is what the Chicago music.
Yeah,
Bingo.
Which is we wrote that song to be anthemic,
yes.
to be kind of a call to arms for the Chicago music scene. Too,
Bingo.
So.
We're here.
It's a good community too. Like it's not just a scene; it's a great community.
Exactly. It's a very passionate community.
Yeah. When great camaraderie between each.
Exactly. If we like something, you'll know it immediately.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look at any sports, right?
Right.
The Bears, stuff like that. As bad as they are, everybody's still very passionate about it.
Very, very passionate. Yeah. And the Blackhawks, every time they win the Stanley Cup, it gets
hockey
nuts.
was nothing in this city 10, 15 years ago. You had they probably had they couldn't get a couple thousand people in that stadium, and now they got something to get behind with them, and I mean, it's insane.
I hadn't even seen ice until I love hockey. I'm from the desert, man. This is cold. What is this? Why is that guy skating on it?
Oh man, guys from the Runaround joining us here on the EdgeOnAir.com, the greatest music you never heard. Let's talk a little bit about Reckless Ones. You guys just released that No, it's March, so 2 months ago.
Yeah,
technically.
a month and a half ago.
Month and a half
Yeah.
ago, give or take. Talk about the writing process about that and where you guys were at when you guys released it.
Well, I mean, I could say that our lives changed pretty
Dramatically.
Drastic.
They changed a lot.
It changed a lot. Yeah, it changed drastically. Dramatically and drastically. So drastically. Dramatically.
Dramatically.
Let's make it a word.
Yeah, that was good.
I think
Dramatically
my,
and drastically combined is dramatically.
I think my pharmacist prescribed that to me.
That's
10 milligram
Oh, that's
Dramamine.
Dramamine. All right. All right. So,
I love it.
In the last 3 years, if you listen to Welcome to the Circus, that's, it was very much kind of anthemic, fun, party stuff. And in the last couple of years, year and a half ago, we lost our other guitar player, Jeremy Kidd. He passed away. So after that happened, it was very, suddenly, and, we can speak probably as much as anybody can to the Chicago music scene and people coming behind it and getting behind something. Because he passed away on May 30th. By June 2nd, we had the House of Blues booked headline for a week and a half from there, and that place was packed with music industry people, with fans, with everybody that came out and supported us. We basically took over a show that was already booked, and the bands just brought us on, like, hey, you guys are headline, this is your show now. They just moved out of the way and said, like, this is your show now. Like, we just want to, they're the supporting acts and stuff, but everything they did, all the money went towards his family and all that stuff.
That's awesome.
So that happened, and that's actually the reason why I went from 2012 to actually the beginning of 2016 for between albums. That obviously set us back time-wise. We spent a couple months, deciding whether or not we were still going to be a band. Then we spent, the next 6 months trying to find somebody that we thought would fit in, not deter from what we've done, but also help us grow, again. And, that's when we brought in Craig Miller, who some success in the Chicago music scene himself. He was the front man of the band Whitroy, and then also the bass player in Danger's My Middle Name. They had a big song called Revenge on the radio for a while and stuff. So he was a friend of ours. Our bands had played together, and we knew that we wanted to bring in somebody we knew, not just kind of a stranger, because it was tough enough to play with anybody else, let alone bringing in somebody that we didn't even that we didn't know. So it took a little while, and we got used to playing together again. We played a couple more fundraiser shows and a couple of shows here and there, but we weren't really back yet. And then we had our official return just over a year ago now. We played with Lucky Boys again. They kind of brought us back. The reason why it was so cool to have our comeback show with Lucky Boys, besides the fact that they're like some of our best friends in the music scene, they are icons to the Chicago music scene, but they're also like, they just kind of took us under our wing from day one. So for the last 10 years, we've been playing with them. But they lost Joe Sell 4 years ago, pretty suddenly. So when Joe passed away, we were kind of there for them, and we were there to talk to about stuff and kind of commiserate with. We actually had played Joe Sell's last show.
Yeah.
So when Jeremy passed away, for us, it was our natural, was like, look, these guys are the few people that we know that know what we're going through.
Right,
because
they really understand.
We've all lost friends and stuff like that, and I'm never going to like diminish what that means, but there is a brotherhood that comes being a band, the time you spend together, and on the road or in rehearsals or on stage, there is it's the reason why they call it band of brothers, that type of stuff, right? Like there is a level there that's different than the friendship would be. So there was nobody that really knew what we were going through or the feelings that were kind of associated with it, except for those guys that we knew, at least directly. Other bands have lost members, but directly. So we weren't sure when we were going to come back. We weren't sure if we were going to come back, and then we kind of saw it as a sign, as they said, like, if you guys are ready to do this, we have a big show coming up. We'd like to have you guys main support. We'd like to make this like your return. So we ended up calling it the Runaround, the Return, and we worked hard at that, and we got back on stage. We realized that we still loved to do it. There was a couple thousand people at this show, and it was sold out. And we went from there thinking, all right, we still love to do this, but we're not going to just. If we're going to do this, we're going to write again. We want to write again, and we're going to write from a very different place.
Right.
So to come full circle with this, we wrote. We sat down to write this album, knowing that Jeremy was going to be a huge, reason for it and impact on it. and he was gonna be a part of the writing process. You know, even though I
Definitely.
wasn't there, he was gonna be part of the writing process. So, you know, we were no longer this band who was just about, you know, fun, loving, you know, what could we poke at a little bit here and there. And that's still in our, you know, we still are very conscious of the world around us, and we still
Definitely.
want to be. But we also just went through something pretty dramatic, right? That's the word? Yeah.
Yeah,
so we,
sure.
yeah, let's go with that. You know, so we weren't gonna, you know, like I said, we've always come from a place of a real place that we knew, like we had just lived and we have gone through, and we were gonna write an album about what was the biggest thing going on in our lives, and a lot of this album is focused around him. And if you listen to songs like the song "Until the End" on the album is strictly about him. That's the song we wrote for him. A Voice is kind of inspired by him. It's an anthemic song that's kind of that is definitely inspired by him, and it has a little bit of a storyline to him as well.
Definitely.
So.
Wow, that's deep.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
No, I didn't see that coming. Just blindsided. It's awesome. It's awesome that you guys take real life situations, whether it's personally or what's going on in the actual world, and able to turn that into music and actually good music, and it's really delivering a message. Like somebody's going to need to hear this that's going through something like that or experiencing that, and the fact that you guys are able to deliver that message in the way that you do, that's absolutely awesome.
I appreciate
That
that,
is
man.
awesome.
I really do.
Complex web we weave.
And we're back. And
I'm loving it. Fabian and Jason joining us from the RUNAROUND on theedgeonair.com, the greatest music you never heard. What's next for you guys? Obviously, the album just released in January.
Right.
What's next for you guys?
Well, we are headlining. Yeah, we're asleep.
Not for a while.
Yeah, a week from Saturday we are headlining. So March 12th we are headlining Brower House with AM Taxi, which are members of Lucky Boys Confusion 2, kind of coming full circle with that. With AM Taxi, also on that bill, Flight Plan and Dirty Rotten Revenge, our good friends from Bloomington. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, punk rock, fun night. Then after that, we're probably going to play one more local show, and then we're going to hit the road. We are, at the end of April, we are doing a southwest tour, which we never really headed this far that direction, so it's going to be kind of fun. Most of the time, everybody goes east because there's hundreds of places you can play east and only about 15 to 20, you know, places along the way.
Yeah.
You know, you have to drive a lot farther. But we thought it was time. You know, Fabian is from Texas and stuff, and we kind of wanted to head down that direction and play for some of the fans we made down there. Just
Drop
to
me
him and
off.
Stuff. I want to drop him off and then, you know, hit him over the head so he forgets where he lives.
I love it.
Good luck, I
I'm gonna leave that alone. Yeah, no, you can say all that stuff you want. I'm gonna leave it alone. Yeah, so the tour is a big thing. It's gonna be end of April through kind of the middle of May, and then we head down to Bloomington for Punk Fest in the beginning of June, this will now be the 8th year we're playing Punk Fest, or 7th or 8th year
Since it began.
which is a big event down in Bloomington every year, which is where we started. You know, it's kind of, we like to get down there once in a while. ISU, which was you know, the college town, kind of get back to our roots down there. You know, we're all from Chicagoland area, well, except for Fabian, but we're all from the Chicagoland area, but we all met down there. So
Right.
the runarounds roots, not our individual roots, but
Right.
the runarounds roots are at ISU, and you know, it's just a different world down there. It's more laid back, more kind of
So
just
much
fun.
more laid
Yeah.
back. I was just down there this weekend.
it's fun.
So much more laid back.
Yeah, I can't spend more than a few days now, or I'm like, you know, I'm gonna die. But you know,
Literally,
but, yeah. But I don't know how I spent, you know, 6 years. A lot of people go to college for 6 years. Yeah, they're called doctors. I was gonna say it before you could say it. But yeah, the 6
You
years.
saw
I
me
spent
thinking.
Yeah.
He's like,
How many years are you
get
down
him,
there?
get him.
Yeah. Well, my old band toured a lot, and I had to take some time off, you know, school and stuff. But the people don't hear that part. They just hear that you were in college for 6 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like I said, we party. You know, so yeah, that's kind of through June, and then we're gonna book some other local kind of festival type stuff for the summer and do all that. And you know, I mean, we're like I said, we're working with this PR company, and gonna be releasing a video for A Voice in the next couple months. That's kind of
Are you still shooting that March?
yeah, we're gonna be shooting that this month. So we're gonna be
Yeah.
shooting that at the end of this month. It'll be out through our PR company, hopefully released through you know, one of the bigger websites, you know, online magazine type stuff. They're that are going around. I can't throw names out there yet, but there's some talk of that. Hopefully a voice kind of continues our momentum. Hopefully, our goal right now is kind of, there are pluses and negatives of writing a song that like you're kind of associated with, and the Runaround right now is 100% associated with Chicago. With the song Chicago, which is not a bad thing. I mean, there are plenty of worse songs that we've written that we could be associated with. But that's and we're okay with that. But obviously, as any band would want, when you continue to write and you feel like you've grown and you've grown, you want to, you would like to top what you've already done.
Definitely.
And that's the direction I think we're headed. With this new album, we are very proud of it. There's not one song that any of us sit there and like, man, I wish we didn't do that one or anything like that. Like the entire album's awesome.
Still a lot of energy. Like,
Yeah.
You hear these songs that are like, especially a voice. Like I love playing a voice just because it has so much energy.
Yeah, and
it's
kind
fun
of
to do live.
Yeah, and that's, I think the fact that we have this new album has kind of re-energized our live show too, because you play these songs so long, so many times.
Definitely, yes.
And Chicago is such a high energy song, and it's tough for us to bring that every time. But I think the fact that we have these new songs has almost re-energized the old stuff as well too.
Definitely.
Like Chicago is now fun again to play live, as opposed to like, because that's not the only thing we're pushing now. But it's like, okay, this is all part of a bigger picture that we're painting.
Bingo.
So, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You guys have been talking about the song A Voice. We will be debuting that in just a little bit. However, gonna switch things up a little bit. All right, it's time for a fun fact. I love this question because it gives your fans a little bit of an insight that they might not know about you guys. So, either individually or something
I got
about the band.
now. Adjust. You better not take it.
Well, then do.
All
right, go first. Yeah. The band's fun fact.
Because here's the thing, Fabian's got like 80 of these, and I can't think of one.
In case you can't tell, I'm kind of the goo.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Yeah. PC.
Yeah. Our band, kills our street cred every time I tell this, actually I don't say it very often, so the fact I'm getting to say it on air is
kind of scaring me right now.
ridiculous.
I don't know where you're going with this.
We have when we were traveling what we call, and you have to realize you spend so many hours in the car, you know where I'm going, don't you? We spend so many hours in the car, you have to kind of mix it up and kind of weird it up a little bit.
Oh my god, yeah, now I know.
So we have what is referred to, and this is by no means an exaggeration, we have boy band hour in the car, which means for 1 hour a day, if we're driving like a long distance, like 6-7 hours, whatever, something like that, we try to outdo each other with like the cheesiest boy band stuff that we can think of. So like we'll go from like, NSYNC to like, Backstreet Boys to like some of the 80s, the early
Color Me Bad
stuff, or like
Selena.
And
New Kids on the Block.
New Kids on the Block, 5 Seconds of Summer. All
Mind
like
you,
we just
this isn't karaoke. Some of this was full-on performances, like hand out the window, making
we're just trying to embarrass each other, trying to like. And the funniest part about it is that we all participate except for Stretch, our bass player. Wants nothing to do with it. He sits in the back with his headphones in and just shakes his head at us the whole time. His sunglasses on, just straight face, just like
Nope.
you jack. Yeah.
Someday you'll be talking about this on a radio, and I want nothing to do with it.
He knew this day was coming. So there's we actually have live videos of the car rides of people trying to hit some of the Backstreet Boys notes, and just belting, and then you just see his face sitting there like his head down,
that is
like,
awesome.
Oh, miserable. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Part of why I think we still do it is how miserable it makes him. So,
Right, exactly. It just keeps everything fresh. I love it. Yeah. Fabian, your fun fact that you got.
Oh man, I don't know what to pick from now. Jeez, there's so many.
I could tell 5 of them about him. I just can't think of anyone.
Should I go Maria or CD?
Maria,
okay, Maria. Okay. When I joined the band, everyone kind of, there was Stretch, there was Jay. Everyone kind of had like a little nickname, and I didn't have one. So they're like, oh, we're gonna come up with a name for you. Well, my last name's Falcon, and I think it was shortly after that kid got stuck in that weather balloon that made the note.
Remember that kid that was like flying around?
Yeah.
The kid's
His name was Falcon.
Yeah.
So they wanted to call me Bubble Boy. And then they tried to shorten that to BB. And I'm like, no, guys, look. I'm one of 9 siblings. I have 3 sisters, and one of them just happens to be named BB. I grew up calling her that. I don't want to be called by my sister's name.
Right.
I don't remember who, but somebody So what's your sister's real name? I'm like, Maria. All right, you're Maria. And for 2 years,
Yeah.
2 years,
Yeah.
everyone called me Maria.
He's actually kind of moved away from it a little bit, but yeah, for the first 2 years he was in this band, I mean, you could tell he was so worried about being called BB. Like, he was in the car, like, look, just don't call me BB. Like, oh, all right, well, I mean, he didn't even, it didn't register where we were going with. It's like, all right, well, what's your sister's real name? It's Maria. Like, all right, well, now you're Maria.
There you
was
go.
just like,
It was
boom.
so sad
He had
that-
this, like, face just dropped. And, I mean, everybody called him
I
that.
worked with
every
people
girl that
around-
he'd meet, you know, he was single at the
Yeah.
time. Every girl he'd meet would call him that. It was like,
And it got to where I responded.
Yep.
Even if I heard somebody, hey, Maria, and they're talking to someone else, I'm like, what?
yeah,
You don't know me?
You imagine the looks he
you.
gets when he responds to Maria.
Is his
Oh, it
name
happened.
Maria?
It happened.
Whose parents would do that to you?
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Pouty
it.
face.
I love it. The reason why I love that question, it just brings
Yeah,
out all
it
the
does.
good stuff.
And we were all worried about the end. Like, what are we going to say? And then you're right. It does.
It does.
brings it forward, yeah.
Oh man, the Runaround joining us here on theedgeonair.com, the greatest music you never heard. Shout out your social medias. Where can they find you guys on social media, and where can they find your
I
music?
feel like they just keep adding up here. The main one would be, I mean, we have the runaroundband.com, you know, so that could splash you to all our social media sites. Facebook.com/the runaroundband. Instagram.com/the runaroundband. We are on SoundCloud. We are on Bandcamp. We are on Reverb Nation. We are on Twitter. We're on
Everything.
anything. I don't know. Yeah. I don't need to go with the slide. You can find us. Usually, we're pretty much the top of most searches when it comes to searching the runaround. So.
YouTube tune.
Yeah, YouTube. Yeah, that's probably a good one. YouTube.com/the runaround band. But you're almost always the runaround band in there. So.
Boom. I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out here.
A lot of fun.
Having fun with us and joining us here. And we're going to debut a voice. You guys have spoken a lot about this song. What was the writing process like writing this one?
I hadn't touched a guitar or sang or anything like that for the first month after Jeremy passed away. There are some things that we actually legally can't talk about that happened through health care provided for him that wasn't well handled in the medical field because he didn't have insurance. So basically, I sat down, I was mad and I was upset, and I wrote a song that basically called out you know, the bureaucrats and the politicians that basically, you know, when it came to not being able to provide emergency care for somebody that didn't have insurance just because they didn't have health insurance. So he died because he didn't have health insurance. That and the fact that, you know, how that left his family. And that's why, you know, hearing the song, waitress could pull that trigger. She won't. She knows where his heart is. A better life for his 2 kids. I mean, that's what that whole...
Wow.
You know, the song is about him. I sat down, wrote that, and that's actually what started my recovery from the situation. You know, when I started bringing me back, and then bringing it to them, and us kind of coming
he was
together.
very kind of shy about showing it to. I remember him texting me.
It was
just
so
like,
personal.
I got a new song I've been working on. Not sure if I want you guys to hear it yet, but just tell me what you think. And he sent me like 2 different versions. And,
Yeah, and I'm not
him and I
usually like that.
started-
Usually it's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Like, you guys want to run with it or not? But it was so personal. So
And
like,
I immediately picked one up. I'm like, all right, this one I like.
yeah,
Let's
he jumped
build
on right
that.
away.
Yeah.
And you know,
I loved it.
It told the story from where we were in our lives at that time. So I think it kind of, when we started being able to focus our energy on that, and get away from the negativity, is what allowed us all to start recovering. So
I love it. I absolutely love it. Once again, I want to thank you guys for coming out here to the edgeonair.com. You guys are edge artists. Anytime you guys want to come back, more than welcome
it's a lot
here.
of fun. We will. Yeah.
I'll be waiting here tomorrow morning.
I absolutely.
You said
He said I could come in. Where's that bowl of candy?
I absolutely love you guys. Thank you once again. And here it is. It's called A Voice, and they are the Runaround on theedgeonair.com.